So I'm absolutely thrilled to be presenting the award in the law and finance category this morning to Lauren Cochran. Lauren has an MBA from Wharton and is a managing director in a venture capital firm. I'm already impressed, but that's not what's important, and it is not why she was selected for this award. Lauren is a managing director with the Blue Haven Initiative, and that's one of the world's largest venture capital firms that's engaged in impact investing. Lauren has had some fabulous successes in her impact investing. She has spearheaded investments in companies that have delivered solar power to hundreds of thousands of low-income households in East Africa and West Africa. So, Dr. Rice, there are some people working on those issues. So that's impressive and pretty important, but there's more. Lauren has set as a criteria for the companies that she invests in that they have women on their boards and women in their management. The success of the companies that she's invested in demonstrate the wisdom of that policy. But that's not all. Lauren regularly organizes networking events around the world and mentors women who are interested in getting involved in impact investment. And there's still more. Lauren teaches impact investing at the Kennedy School at Harvard. So Lauren is doing great things now in her own career, and she's also continually widening the network of people, and women in particular, who want to do this same thing of doing good in the world by putting capital at risk. Lauren, you are a most worthy recipient of C3E's Law and Finance Award. And let me just say, in my next life, I want to do what you're doing, and I hope to do it at least half as well. So come up and receive your award.
First, thank you for having me today. It's an honor to be here, and thank you for the introduction, Marianne. I first want to thank my colleague Grace, who's here today, Matt Tilliard and Kathleen Jean-Pierre, and the rest of the Cross Boundary team for nominating me for this award. I guess I come at this from a slightly different perspective than most recipients. I have always cared about the environment. I'm excellent at turning off lights. I love composting. And for years, I have lectured family and friends about the carbon footprint of a cheeseburger. But energy became a focus when I started spending time in Africa, mostly in Zambia in 2007. I worked for the Clinton Foundation, as any good, disillusioned 24-year-old investment banker would. We built supply chains for the care of children with HIV, mostly to government clinics. But one of the biggest barriers to adopting our solutions was the lack of reliable electricity. It turns out most technology doesn't really work without electricity. One of many reasons that I became disillusioned with development, I went back to school. Despite the challenges of infrastructure, business on the continent was booming. I wanted to find a way to invest in frontier markets that would enable countries to make their own decisions about healthcare and energy. I didn't really know in what, but I knew that my private equity skills would be better utilized investing money rather than giving it away. At the time, mass proliferation of mobile phones on the African continent democratized access to information, and it was a game changer. The only trouble? Charging phones. Still today, existing electricity grids mainly serve urban centers. Energy tariffs are not cost reflective, and a persistent underinvestment in transmission and distribution have left more than 600 million people in the dark. International donor focus makes centralized generation a cornerstone of national electrification plans in most African countries, but that's out of date. Just look at our experience in the US. I grew up in suburban Philadelphia in an upper middle class neighborhood. In most snow and thunderstorms, we would lose power. So much so that a few years ago, my parents invested in a diesel generator. Last Christmas, when the generator kicked in during a snowstorm and I went outside to walk the dog, I realized most of the neighborhood had made the same investment. I told my parents the neighborhood was starting to sound a lot like Lagos, the place with the highest concentration of diesel generators on Earth. I was also living and working in New York City in the 2003 blackout, where a simple bug in the system took out the northeastern power grid for almost a week. Centralized power made sense when the US and Europe were developing their own national grids, but these legacy systems are expensive to build and maintain, and may not be what we would choose with a blank slate today. Back to Africa in 2010-ish. As mobile money was proliferating in East Africa, the price of solar panels dropped dramatically. Enter M-KOPA, the first asset finance company to bring power far off the grid. At inception, customers could pay 30 cents a day, roughly the cost most were already spending on kerosene and batteries, to access lights, phone charging, and a radio. As the cost of solar and battery technology has dropped, M-KOPA has continued to add appliances, bringing customers up the energy ladder with products that include TVs, refrigerators, solar water pumps, and fans. Today, they have nearly 700,000 customers and have financed 1 million products. We have a similar investment in West Africa. We began to apply this thinking across markets, realizing that distributed energy could also serve commercial and industrial customers, but financing was a key barrier to entry. Cross-boundary energy sells solar power to on- and off-grid industrial customers that often spend more on energy than any other input and lose revenue each time the grid fails. Splitting time between Nairobi and the US, both experiences have shown me that the future of electricity access is distributed. I want to thank my family for putting up with my crazy travel schedule and never questioning my life choices. Also, Blue Haven Initiative has given my team and me a platform to pursue these crazy ideas with enthusiasm and the ability to take risk, a lot of risk. Liesl Pritzker-Simmons and her husband Ian have pushed the envelope, showing the world that you could invest in clean technology and other areas of impact and still make money. To the team, Grace, Sarah Alexander, Kelly Escobedo, and everyone else, none of this would get done without you. To our entrepreneurs and the teams at M-KOPA, PEG Africa, and Cross Boundary Energy, you're doing the hard work. Thanks for putting up with me and teaching me so much along the way. Thanks.